According to reports, Nigeria Medical Association Anambra Branch has directed its members to withdraw clinical services in all private and public hospitals with effect from Thursday night. The directive is contained in a statement issued in Awka by the branch chairman and secretary, Dr. Princeton Okam and Dr. Ifeanyi Obieli, at the end of the association's emergency general meeting that was yesterday. They stated that the directive was to protest against the kidnapping of their colleague, Dr. Stephen Eze, who has been in captivity since August 15. We recall that the body had on August 19 threatened to down tools if Eze was not released by his adopters within 48 hours. The association stated that 48 hours after the ultimatum had elapsed, in addition to its appeal to the state government, Eze was still held by his adopters in spite of his health challenge. The statement read in part, NME Anambra hereby directs all doctors in the state to forthwith withdraw clinical services in federal, state, private, mission, institution, and corporate hospitals in the state until their member is released. That NMA Anambra will painstakingly monitor compliance with the above directive through her strike monitoring team, and that defaulting hospitals and members will be blacklisted and penalized in line with the Congress resolutions. That the Anambra government should activate all necessary security agencies and instruments at its disposal to ensure timely and unconditional release of the adopted members. How do you see this affecting the health system in Anambra State?
Seriously, this is a very pathetic situation, I must tell you. Anything that has to do with health is something that shouldn't be taken for granted. I must confess that Nigerians, we take certain things for granted, especially our government. A health worker, somebody that is there to ensure that the lives of people, you know, are being safeguarded, that people enjoy good health, and these negative entities, these, you know, bad persons among the society laid hand on a particular doctor, and the state government has not, from the news we are getting, or is here to make any proactive move or statement to that effect, in spite of the appeals by NME. It's a very terrible situation. And I must say that the state government needs to rise up and do something. The reason I'm worried is because it's not just the adoptees or the person adopted only that is suffering. Not just the person adopted, not just the doctor. If eventually this particular sanction that has been put by NMA is extended beyond 48 hours, believe me, it's going to be disastrous in that state. Because as I speak to you, if not every minute, every hour, people need medical attention.
Sure.
People need medical services. And then a whole state, there is a movement, there is a signal to shut down the medical system in that particular state. I think the government should rise up. It calls for urgent attention. The government should rise up to that, so that this particular issue can be tamed. At least, let it be that the government is doing something. Let it be that the government has activated all the security operatives to ensure the release of this particular doctor. It's a very terrible situation, and I must tell you that I'm not comfortable with it. It's not something that should befall a people or a state.
To think it's the whole state, well, do you see this as extreme?
Well, for me, I don't think, because you put the lives of everybody at risk if you shut down the health sector in a particular state. And in as much as we are calling on the adopters to release the doctor, at the same time, if you turn it to the entire state, shutting down the health institutions in the state, is going to be more dangerous. It's going to be more dangerous. In as much as government should speed it up to ensure that the man is released from his adopters. I don't think, I'm not support on a complete shutdown of medical facilities in the states.
Well, you know, Nigerians have this ideology that if you don't take extreme measures in the positive lights now, if you don't go on strike, if you don't protest, the government might not respond as fast as you want them to.
The government, I don't think any government can keep quiet when there's incident like this.
We had an incident like this in another state in Nigeria, I think down in the north now, and it's been 7 months. That doctor has still not been released or rescued.
Yes.
7 months.
Yes, it's as much as that. Okay, if the entire country shut down their medical facilities because of that, do you see the effect of it?
Now they're about to, the NMA in that state are about to go on strike.
They shouldn't go on strike. Okay, I don't support that striking thing. I don't support. They should explore all means of dialogue and ensure that if the government say we cannot do anything again, then they should tell us.
They said they have talked.
Yes.
They have talked. They have explored dialogue.
You know, this is security matters, and you don't expect the government to come out every day and say this is what we are doing. I don't think the government are just sitting down there. They are not doing anything. You know, they are doing something serious. Remember the aide to the governor of Anambra State was kidnapped on his way to Abuja to attend Solodo's daughter's wedding. You know, the security agency swing into action. We are told that they later got released.
That's the idea now. Talking about that, I had a guest the other day who made reference to that particular incident. And he's saying, as some Nigerians are also saying, if is it because of the individual that was kidnapped? Do you also see that as
seriously
possible?
I subscribe to that, because in this country it appears, not just that it appears, it's like that. Once something has to do with, let me use the word, a non-politician in quote, or a politician without an office or portfolio, or a normal and average Nigerian. Once something has to do with the masses, an average Nigerian, not in government position, you see the masses lament, you see the people cry, and you see the government doing less or doing little. But once it has to do with a portfolio carrying politician, or a government recognized personality, or someone that has a name in the society, that has influence, that can command, you know, some form of influence within his locality or across the state or the nation, you see the proactiveness of all relevant agencies that is required to ensure that the person's life is secured or safeguarded. Now, if the government is actually doing something, I believe NMA leadership should be aware. And this issue of trying to extend or to intensify their actions shouldn't come up, shouldn't be in the media space. So I want to believe that the government has not actually done up to expectation. The government has not done what they are expecting the government to do, and that is why they are still lamenting, they are still cautioning their members if we find out, you know. So I subscribe to that very seriously. The issue happened like that because a government personality was involved, and before you knew it, the man was released.
Chief mentioned something where he said that, you know, this is a security issue, and we don't expect the government to come up every day to tell us they are every move.
I quite agree with that, but the government will not also do it without the leadership of that particular system. You know, this statement by NEMA, NMA rather, didn't just come out like that. It's a product of leadership decision, right? There was a resolution by the leadership. So if the leadership were in tune or in touch with the moves by the government, there is no other kind of statement will come out. So whatever the security agency is doing, they should be able to keep the concerned person updated so that they will not be agitated or get too much worried over the situation.
All right, kidnapping, it looks like there have been an increase in the cases of kidnap recently in Nigeria. I know that kidnapping has been there for a long time, but there was a time where Nigerians could say, oh, it looks like the cases of kidnapping have reduced. But now it looks like they just rang a bell somewhere and said it's time, we'll start. Everybody gets into it. And it has not been funny. Different stories, kidnap stories in the news almost every day. I mean, we look at news stories on this show every day, aside the weekend now, and on Sundays. And then we keep seeing these stories over and over again. Royal Chief, what do you think?
I think when we had issues in the Niger Delta region, the then president of Nigeria, President Yaradua came up with strategies to resolve issues within the Niger Delta regions. And that is giving us, the federal government is seeing results out of that amnesty they granted to some agitators in the Niger Delta regions. If you observe, most of the high-profile kidnapping is not within the Niger Delta regions. If you look at it, if you observe, they are not. Because once, some of those agitators have been taken care of. Some of them we are sent abroad for rehabilitations of their mindsets. You talked about mindset to start with. They rehabilitate them and also engage them in something. So I think government at all levels where we have high cases of kidnapping, okay, to think inward and look at strategies how to mop up these arms from these people, how to mop out these arms, because the increase of harm getting to the wrong people is become serious. Because you cannot went into kidnapping without having something at the back of your mind, maybe gun. If you resist, we killed you. You cannot just go and kidnap a person with bare hand. So government should look at how we can mop out these illegal arms that is the hand of individuals that are not supposed to be. I don't want to put it in kind of amnesty because is they are not agitating for anything. And
one would even ask if you want to start you know, encouraging terrorism.
They are not agitating for anything. So remember in River State here, we were having black suit all over. When government decided to crush down on illegal fire joint, you see that it reduced. So if the government say, no, we don't want any camp. I saw, it's also in Anambra State where they were destroying a house that they kidnapped, normally kept their victims, you know, kidnapped. They were destroying those houses. Even in River State, it's in River State law that if you find out that you harbor kidnappers in your buildings, your house is ought to be destroyed. And you see that everybody is careful about who you accept to be within your environment and how your environment is looking like. So I think in Anambra State, they can also do something serious about it. They can also do something serious about it. It's not only, last time they did something about the herdsmen, and then you see that the herders and farmers crash also reduced to some extent because they were like, don't do it like this, do it this way. So I'm not in support that anybody that is not military trained personnel should handle firearms. So the government should go after those that are handling firearms illegally, and that will reduce every day we'll be hearing about
all right, Loveday, what do you think is going on? Now, the Warrior Chief has mentioned, he made reference to the amnesty, but then he's talking about these people not advocating for anything. There was a time when that was something similar was being discussed. I think, was it when we were talking about one of the terrorist groups in the north now? And a lot of Nigerians started asking questions like, are we now encouraging terrorism? Are we saying when someone picks up the gun to do something wrong, we'll call him in and give him a pat on the back and give him some funds to take care of himself?
Well, the issue of terrorism or the use of illegal use of firearms should be discouraged at all levels. But I have a challenge. I have a problem with calling on relevant agencies to tame that particular aspect or deal with individuals that are exposed to doing all of that. The first question is, how do these persons get this firearm? Through which route do these firearms come in? Because some of the firearms are not just locally fabricated. I've not heard one before, but I've read that some of them are well sophisticated weapons. How do these individuals access these firearms? How do they get to the various communities where they make use of them? And so those are the questions that we should be asking. And that will now take us to the point of the security agencies being on top of their business, manning their business very well, ensuring that all routes, all accesses, especially, I believe in this country, any area that is prone to insecurity, there should be some form of kind of red alert signal, you know, within the security operatives ambit or within their terrain. They should be able to, this area is marked as, this area is marked as, and there should be a kind of checkmating approach to ensure what happens within that particular area. So I want to believe that this issue of handling of firearms is something that the security agencies has a major role to play. If they cannot curb it, if they cannot stop it, I wonder who will do that. Because you cannot go after somebody that is having firearms without you handling firearms. So the area of this thing getting into the hands of this person is one aspect that should be looked at. And then the aspect of hunger. The aspect of hunger is another critical area. Like I always tell people, somebody can be patient for today, but tomorrow the person may no longer be patient. So the issue of food insecurity, food crisis in Nigeria, hunger. You know, when we sound like this, some person will always tell you, why are you not doing what they are doing? Are you not hungry? We don't have similar mindset. We don't have the same perception. We don't have the same orientation.
So how is that affecting the cases of insecurity and kidnapping?
Yes, I'm coming to that. Now, there are some persons. We have some persons that are educated in that business. We have some persons that are sound. We have some persons that probably have actually looked for something. They have searched for job. They have looked for government empowerment. And these things are not forthcoming. And when they look around their domain, they see some persons that have not suffered what they have suffered in quote. And probably because they have one person in government or they have one person that is, highly placed, helping them. Sometimes something that is supposed to go to the masses, you see a particular set of persons, government office holders, public office holders now, in this sense, sharing that particular resources within their household, within their own, let me use the word cartel. And you see some of these persons that have read, they have gone to school, they have struggled on their own in order to become independent. And there is no push by the government. Believe me, something is possible. The tendency of the person derailing tomorrow is very, very high. So that is why when we talk about insecurity, one of the things we should also look at is the government role in providing jobs. The government role in ensuring that what people need to do are available. In a particular area where there is insecurity, if you engage the people meaningfully, if the government begin to look at what, just like the issue of when amnesty was given, that was some form of empowerment. And did it not work in Niger Delta? It worked, just like my royal chief here said. It worked. So it must not be amnesty, but create an enabling environment. Get the people busy with something doing, and you see the issue of kidnapping will drastically reduce. Okay,
so what would you advise the enemy right now in Anambra State?
Okay, they've issued a statement. The statement is not against the government. The statement is not against the people in Anambra State. The statement is a statement that is attached with a demand. Release our member. Okay? Released our member. So my advice to them will be that completely shutting down of health facilities in Anambra State is dangerous, because comparing to our old mothers, our parents that may be taking time to go to hospital, our pregnant women, okay? So they should categorize on people they should attend to. You cannot deprive my unborn child because they kidnapped my father or thereabout. Okay? They should consider these categories of people and render services to them. Okay? Not completely, don't open, close down everything. No. What are people that are on emergency? You have pregnant women going for
accident victims.
Accident victims. So they should categorize areas that they can still do a parallel services to. Not completely. Maybe you change all the hospitals. Okay, you change all the hospitals.
That's going to be a huge disaster.
So I also want the government of that state to ensure that their member is released. Since they don't provide security for medical doctors, okay, they don't provide security for medical doctors, and you want medical doctors to reside in rural areas, okay, so you need to provide security, adequate security for medical doctors, because they are prone to kidnapping.
At the end of the day, it's not just medical doctors that are prone to kidnapping. Since we're talking about sending them to those rural areas, we still have core members that are usually sent to rural areas, and they have no idea about the language that is even spoken in those areas. So generally, security should be provided for the people.
Of course, it's always our sermon. we preach it every day. Okay? I have said it here and anywhere. That reduced numbers of security men attached to politicians. If you take 1 or 2 politicians, for instance, you have how many 8, all of them with their mobile police, with van and all that. How many? So nobody is left to secure me and you. Nobody. Because 10 persons entitled for 1 security personnel to secure in this state. And we have, yes, we have like 200 million Nigerians plus.
And the police to citizens ratio is actually out of it. It's not close to the standard.
Do you know how many personnel they are killing? How many police officers that died daily? And we don't know. And how many times they do recruitment?
That's a very serious one. Do you agree now that the NMA should have a rethink?
Yeah, in retrospect, you know, my royal chief has actually said something that caused me to now have a rethink, not just thinking like what do they call it now? Like a young person, like somebody that wants it, you know, to be done immediately by the government. I've thought of what my royal chief said.
And you now
because of, yes, in retrospect, the pregnant women, the aged mother, there are some persons that are, of course, that will be needing this medical attentions. And then if the enemy, of course, that's why I also said 48 hours will be very disastrous if they have to shut down the medical system. So I want to advise that the leadership should work more closely with the security agencies to ensure that their personnel is reduced.
Thank you so much for your thoughts on that one.